So in this video, I'm going to share with you how I got started in property and how, off the back of the mistakes I made, I would advise you to get started in property. So I'm Harvey, I'm a remote property investor, and what does that mean? I live in the south and invest in the northeast. I'll come back to that in a minute, but if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon so you get notified for the videos coming up. Please hit the thumbs up and comment below some feedback. It really helps the algorithm gods of YouTube push this video out, because my mission is to help as many people live on their terms by sharing stuff like this. So if you can share this to many people, we can get that mission going forward, and that's my why in life: live on my own terms. So how did I start my property journey? I started my property journey by buying a piece of development land. Before you congratulate me for doing a 2-3-bedroom development, property is my first deal, it actually worked out to be a bit of a disaster, but we'll go a bit more into that a bit later on. I then bought a buy-to-let in Southend-on-Sea. I grew up, just to rewind this back a little bit, I grew up in a little village called Averley, but I was born in London. So from the age of 6, I grew up in Averley, and this is the area I knew really well. But because it's a little village and there was no major travel links, like transport links, there was no major sort of employers there, I knew instinctively, without any education, without reading a book, without going on any training, which I've done loads of since, I knew it didn't work as an investment location. So I invested in Southend-on-Sea, which is an hour away. But I ended up buying right in the middle of a red light district. It was heroin addicts and prostitutes walking the street at night to get their fix. And to top it off, 4 doors up from the property I bought was a drug rehabilitation centre. I've got a full video on this Epiphany Bridge, which tells you the full journey of this. So I'll keep it short here. But it made me realise I didn't know Stockton-on-Tees any better than I knew Southend, which was 4 hours away, which I'll share in another video. But a predominant large part of my portfolio since then has been built in the northeast, where the returns and investment make sense. And what I learned from this, going back over my journey, is to always start off with some single let properties as a foundation for your investing. So this is how I'm going to advise you with the mistakes I've made. I lost money on that development site, that first piece of land. Also investing in Southend, I made some mistakes along the way. But anybody starting out in property is pretty simple. The methodology behind it's pretty simple, but easy and simple are not the same things. Just because something's pretty simple doesn't mean it's easy to implement. Think about your health as an example. It's easy to stay fit, eat healthy foods, don't eat so much sugars, walk for half hour a day, drink plenty of water, you'll stay healthy. But it's simple methodologies behind it, but not easy to implement. And property is exactly the same. And this is why I advise people to start off simple. There's always an exception of a rule. You might be a QS come into property, you might have a background in building come into property. But how I advise people to get started is think of property like a pyramid. And I've done this totally around the wrong way. So think of this like this pyramid, like this. So basically at the bottom, you want to get some single let buy to let properties. So your buy to lets are at the bottom. And this builds out your foundation. You wouldn't build any pyramid or any sort of strong structure of anything without having a good strong foundation now. Buy-to-let properties is just simple stuff. Simple refurbs, keep them simple. Don't do loft conversions. Don't go into big extensions. Don't go into HMOs first of all. In most cases, always exceptional rule, as I said. Once you've done your buy-to-lets and you've got a bit of experience and you've cut your teeth doing smaller refurbs, you then step up to HMOs. Because if you want to get momentum investing by HMOs, you've got to do en-suites, make them into a full HMO. Otherwise you're only going to get valued on the bricks and mortar value. So if you ever want to force that value right up, you've got to do a bigger development, which is more like a 50 to 100k developments. You don't want to be testing out builders, testing out your project management skills on the smaller stuff, and they're much more difficult to manage. So even your managing agents, test them out on the smaller stuff, the single lets. Again, you might jump up once you've cut your teeth managing single lets or fountain agents on single lets onto the SAs. This then lets you jump up and you get a bit of cash flow from your foundation of buy to lets. You get a bit of knowledge, you get a bit of network. Once you build up that network, you build up a bigger cash flow onto your HMOs and your SAs, which are a bit more complex, and then you go up to stuff like commercial conversions. Next point in the pyramid, because then you've got a decent cash flow from these one below them, because HMOs and development stuff or commercial diversions, a longer period between you getting your money and you starting a deal. So you need to have a buffer period. There's more elements of risk if you get stuck on bridging finance and things like that. So you want this good solid foundation at the bottom. The most reliable income will come from single lets, which is at the bottom. So you want that foundation to support going up to these not so reliable stuff, but are higher rewarding. So when the mistakes do come, and they will come, you've got the foundation here to navigate them. Once you go to commercial conversions, you can really force up values, but you can also bankrupt yourself if you've not got this foundation. But you can also force up your incomes again. So then once you've done that, if you want to carry on climbing this pyramid, you then think of development stuff at the top. Look, I told you I tried to do a development. Well, I didn't do it. I turned this pyramid upside down, and as a result, I lost around 10k on my first deal. So I'm advising people, most people, as I said, unless you're exceptional rule, your dad might be an investor, your best friend might, to start on this simple stuff. If you don't live in the north or Wales or somewhere where property prices are under 100k, the yields are over 8%, you really want to be thinking about doing this remotely, how I've done this. Just remember, anything you can do in person can be done remotely today, or can be outsourced virtually, just as long as you've got the right systems behind it. There is some trade-offs along the way for that. Of course, it's nice to have everything on your doorstep, but it's also nice to have a lower barrier to entry for the purchase prices. For me, the trade-offs are simple. 100k to get into a property locally with maybe a 3% yield, drive a few hours, and 15k to 20k to get into a property with an 8% yield. Them trade-offs make it really, really attractive. And also the fact that when I got started in remotely, I met a guy from the location. He moved down from the area. I knew him really well. I had a large portfolio. It was random. Back then, I wasn't online. The internet wasn't the same as what it was. I think I met him in 2010. So about a decade ago when I first ventured going remote. Today, them random meetings don't have to be so random like mine was. You can just go onto portals online and communities online, fully built, and find people to network with and build out your network in these areas, because your network is massively your net worth. Hope you found that useful. Stick in the comments where you are on the pyramid, where you are on your journey. Stick in the comments if you've got any questions around investing. Remember, I've got a mission. I want to help as many people live on their own terms using property as a vehicle for that. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button, hit the bell icon to be reminded of videos when these come up again. Put it in the comments, hit that like button for the algorithms for us. And if you don't evolve your ideas, you're never gonna live on your own terms. So evolve your ideas, live on your own terms. Have a fantastic day.